we were talking about your ultimate reward would be for Chuck to say, you're doing a great job, dude, you're doing a great job. And that would be all you need. But because we live in the real world, all we can do is look around us. And when you have got people like Tim Amar saying like, you are Chuck, you are the nearest thing because you are continuing the legacy. And, I don't know enough of I'm just one guy. I don't know everyone in the scene, but you're not the one to answer the question because you are Eric. But if I could ask the people around you, it's like, I have no doubt that their support would be unbelievable for what you are doing, because take Eric Greif out of the picture, and this isn't to say that there isn't huge support from the family, Chris Steele, Beth, who I don't even know who else, but take Eric out of the picture, then all of a sudden a lot of things just fade away, and you don't have fixed financial issues, you don't have fixed legal issues, you still have a mess. So in that regard, Eric, I do believe that there can be no question about what you're doing. Sure, maybe, should you put that demo on or should you not, there might be little things like that, but ultimately, who can challenge the decisions you've made? I don't see a wrong decision. So
well, look, the only way that I can sum all of this up is using Chuck's own words, and that is whatever happens for a reason. That's a philosophy that we always had, that things work out the way they do because they do, and they do because they were meant to. And that's not that we believe in foreordination or that there's some sort of divine intervention in it all. It's just whatever was meant to happen happens, and that's just reality. And I was meant to be here, and Beth was meant to pick up the phone and get me back involved, and everything is just the way it is. And am I the man for the job? Obviously, or I wouldn't be doing it. Am I the man to cure cancer? No. Am I the man to solve a mathematical equation? No. This is what I do. I've been in the music business for 30 years, and it's mostly been in metal, and I knew Chuck, and I went from being a manager to being a lawyer. So who better qualified than me to be putting this together? That's not to pat myself on the back. It's just reality.
I kind of think that ultimately all we can do is what we believe to be right. And if you believe what you're doing is right, then it's that simple. It's the right thing. Because
well, that's exactly what Chuck would have said anyway. I mean, it's in his lyrics. Look, I believe in myself, and I believe in my own talents, or else I wouldn't be out there doing what I do. And Chuck believed in his. He wrote music. He recorded albums best he could do. His agent did the best that his agent could do to book him on tours. His record label, all right, I won't go there, but his new record label, Relapse, and of course Roadrunner, they do the best that they possibly can do to sell records. I mean, we just had a philosophy of being at the top of your game, giving it your all, being honest, and being brutal. And that being brutal, that just meant being 100% at 100 miles an hour kind of thing. I'm doing what comes naturally to me because I knew Chuck and I was the manager of Death. So doesn't it make sense that I would be the one running the show now and making sure that everything gets done? It doesn't mean that I could run Microsoft, but running Perseverance just comes naturally. So well, I'm in the right place at the right time. But look, Chuck's former lawyer, the guy that was representing Chuck when he was fighting me, he told Beth at the time that she told him that, guess who's running things now? It's Eric Greif. He said, well, you know what? That's something Chuck would have done. Like, that would have been a Chuck move to make the former manager running the corporation, So, here we are.
But yeah, for me, Eric, it's it's more a point of just that little bit of credit, you know, just that little bit of acknowledgement. Because although you're not asking for it, you're not looking for it. I recently just, you know, sort of realised what it is to be appreciated myself, because, you know, whether I can share this or not, you guys gave me that little shout out in the, you know, the little credit in the human reissue, and it's that thing of like, it's just that feeling that you get of like, you know what, this stuff does count. And I know you're not looking for credit, Eric, but I think I could speak for everyone in saying that you are doing it right, and you are the guy to do it, because who else could it be? I mean, you believe that we are, you know, this is the real world, we are in it. You know, we can't magic up some Superman that isn't real, you know, it is you doing these things. And I would like to say to you that you're doing a great job. And
thank you.
I just don't think that, I can't think of a better person to do it. I mean, I can't claim to know Eric Greif, but I can see what this man has done and continues to do. So in that respect, I can say these things.
Well, I appreciate that, and when you've told me, James, what Tim Amar said, I mean, I'm like, I don't know, I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know what to say, because I know what high regard Tim has for Chuck, and for him to make any kind of comment like that, like I'm even remotely, I don't know, filling some shoes or whatever. I don't know. I guess I'm too tired, and even for me, it's too late to adequately express how shocked and awe I am of any kind of comparison or I don't know. Comparison's kind of cheesy, because I don't mean it that way. I don't want to be Chuck, and Chuck was a guy, right? And I'm a guy, and we had similarities, but I'm glad I'm me, and Chuck was glad he was him. But
it's not so much
told that by Tim. I know exactly what he was thinking, and I'm honored.
It's not so much about being the same guy. It's about being considered in the same light. And
yeah.
For how I think you feel about Chuck, there could be no greater compliment. So for you, that's probably about as good as it can get, you know.
You know, look how important Chuck is in the scheme of metal, and I've had the opportunity of working with him and representing him to be worthy, really, of his talent, right? Like he's way up here on a talent level, and it's not like he's a god and I'm a mortal, but to be in that sphere on the same level, but for what I am to legal representatives is what he was to metal. I mean, I'm just honored to be considered to be a good enough business person or a good enough representative to be carrying on Chuck's work the way Chuck would have done it if he was alive. That's cool as hell to me.
We should move on. There's still a few more questions, Eric.
I'm gonna cry.
There's still a few more questions, Eric.
Yeah, this is quite emotional for me.
Chuck's ashes. I was going to ask if I thought they were yet to be scattered, but you said they're partially scattered.
Yeah, he had specific wishes for his mother that are private, that dealt with a small portion of his ashes, and then his remaining ashes were in an urn, and his mother has Chuck's ashes.
This takes me to another question.
The question of why am I admitting this when that would be the ultimate souvenir prize?
No. It's more a case of does Chuck have a grave? I know he isn't buried, but
no.
So
that's, I mean, look, I'm caught in a sort of a web of my own make at the moment, because on the one hand I'm preaching that I need to be honest and that I need to be forthright with everyone, but on the other hand there's certain things that I maybe should be cautious about letting people know because they're private family issues. But it's no secret, there is no grave. Chuck was cremated. It was his own wish, and for whatever reason, and I don't want to speculate on why he didn't want to be buried anywhere. There's no memorial. There's only his music. His music is his tombstone, and his mother has his ashes. That's really the important issue.
So there's no single place where a fan can go and pay respects then to Chuck.
Nope.
Has there been any?
Nope, there's no Chuck Schuldiner Memorial Garden. There's your own head, and there's the music and headphones, and that's kind of funny for me to say, but that's the memorial right there is the music, because there's no physical thing, and Chuck wasn't into that. Into physical work, he wasn't into that at all. He would have been the last person that would have wanted to be a Jim Morrison guy with a grave in Paris bedecked with graffiti with death logos and whatever. He would have hated that idea. So he was a simple guy like that. He would have said, I don't want a grave, I don't want a burial, I want to be cremated because it's cost effective, it's simple, and that's it. And that's exactly what he did say.
For us to move on, Eric, could you talk briefly about why you felt Chuck's attitude was changing towards his extreme vocals?
I think, well, it's no secret that he was getting tired of what he was at. That's what happens when you start out your career when you're 17 years old and 18 years old, and you have a whole bunch of albums under your belt, and you grow up. And he started to grow, and he wanted to have melodic vocals. And whether or not he did the melodic vocals or he got a power singer to do them, that's something he wanted to do, hence Control Denied. And of course he was already rehearsing Control Denied and planning on recording that album when the offer came to do One More Death album. And although he had kind of put it in his head that Death was a past thing, he'd already done as much as he wanted to do. Symbolic was the cream of the crop. It was the greatest album he had within him. As far as Death goes, he was lured by the idea of one more tour, one more album, to do one more album. And by then, the whole idea of doing a melodic, heavy vocal can root in his head, and so somehow he came up with the Perseverance sound, which is more of a screechy, higher-end vocal. There's no truth to the fact that he was losing it and he was unable to pull off the old Chuck vocal. That is just not a fact. That's purely apocryphal. I think he didn't want to do it anymore. And he made a comment to Jim Morris when the Perseverance record was finished, like the whole album was recorded except for the vocal. He came in and he said, okay, on his first day of vocals, he said something like, now I got to ruin it. Because the way he looked at it, doing the, he wanted to do melodic vocals. That's why most of those songs for Perseverance, they were all Control Denied songs, or some of them anyway. Actually,
it still came out pretty.
It's still heavy.
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
Fantastic. I think it had said something like he always thought it was weak. Well, weak compared to what? You can't really compare Spiritual Healing to Scream Bloody Gore, and you can't really compare Symbolic to Spiritual Healing. So I don't know. It's just different. It's an evolution. He just didn't want to do it the way he was doing it, so he did it differently.